What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. This is TWA Motorsports, and today, yes, we are working on the green truck and putting some new seats in it that I've had for a while, and I'm sure you guys have seen in other videos just kind of laying around in the background, but we'll talk about what they are. I'm going to show you how to install them. Now, the very important thing here, guys, is what I'm going to show you only works on a 99 through 2002. So 03 and up, the wiring, while you could do it, the wiring is going to be different. So only 99 to 2002 will this work on. So if you guys ask me any questions, will this work on an 04? It will, but you're going to have to pin it different, and we'll talk about that here in just one second. But what do we have? So you can see I've got a mess here. I'm cleaning the rails off. I'm not going to show you guys that because, well, that's boring, frankly, and that's just part of my OCD if I'm going to put these seats in. But what are these seats? They came out of a 2004 Tahoe, and I got these out of a local salvage yard, and they're pretty plentiful. You can find them on eBay if you want to have them shipped, or if you have a local like wrecking yard, salvage yard, it's a good place to go find some. I wanted the 04 or kind of like the 03 and up seats. Actually, I think the seats are probably the same, 99 and up, but I wanted the ones with the armrest to match the console. The other thing that I wanted is, you've noticed that they're light gray on the outside and dark gray on the inside. So what I did was I got these out of a salvage yard. They were completely wrecked and nasty. Took them down to my upholstery guy, and he reupholstered them in the colors that I wanted. So I wanted the light gray to match the console on the bottom side of the dash, and I wanted the dark gray to match everything else. So that's what I did. And I went back and forth whether I wanted the light on the outside or the dark on the outside. Ultimately, I thought because this touched the console, they would look the best. And I think it's going to look really good. But anyway, so I had him cover those. Now, these were factory 6-way adjustable seats. And to be quite honest with you, in a regular cab, you're not really moving the seat a bunch. But I don't know. It's just something I've always wanted. I want to make this truck more of a higher end model, I guess you could say, because I bought a base model truck. Anyway, factory heat in the seats, and you don't know whether they work or not, and so while he had it apart, I just had him put an aftermarket set of heated seats in it. And when he did that, he put the switch down here on the side, which I was going to originally put on the dash, but now that I see where he put it, and he said if I don't like this, he's got other panels so I can move it if I want to, but for now I'm going to leave it there. You can see I've got some dirt to clean out there, but that's where we're at. So what I did was, the factory plug, when I got the seats, you have to put power to them to move them to get them out of the truck, because you have to uncover the bolt holes. Anyway, I went ahead and grabbed these plugs while I was at it, because I want it to look like a factory setup. So when you look under the seats, it's going to have the factory plug on the seat, and it's going to have the factory plug on the car. So I got these plugs. Obviously, you've got the one that goes to the seat, and you've got the one that goes to the car. Now, when you look at this with the clip facing up, you only got 4 wires, because this is the passenger side. The bottom, if you're looking with the clip up, so this guy here, the bottom left is for the move, so you only need to hook that up if you just want to hook up move. The black right above that is the ground, and then on the other side, the big thick orange wire is for heat. So what I did was, as opposed to running a separate wire and not having a plug, I ran this, the aftermarket seat heater kit that he put in, into this factory plug. So all we have to do is hook this end up, and everything will plug in and look like the factory setup. I really wanted everything to look like factory. So that's the passenger side. On the driver's side, there's a little more to deal with, because you got a little more going on. You can see all these wires, and some of these wires are for airbags, because the seat had airbags. That's what that other blue wire was on the passenger side. But on this guy, we're going to probably ditch a majority of these. The only ones we're going to concern ourselves with is, if you're looking at the plug, top left-hand side is your move. On the far right at the top is the ground. Obviously it's black. Right below that is the heat. Did the same thing, tied the heat into the factory plug under the seat, so we don't only have to hook up that. And then the only other one we should concern ourselves with is the black with the white stripe, which should go to the seat belt. The rest of these I'm going to get rid of, and I'm actually going to pull the pins so we don't have just cut off wires looking like crap. So on to the car. So obviously you guys know what we've got under the seat, what we've got on the seats. But as far as hooking it up, I wanted it to look as factory as possible, and I'll list all this stuff down below, but I got a factory NBEC plug. And so this is what I'm going to use, and this guy actually ties in to the box under the dash on the left-hand side footwell. So if you take that cover off, you can see I've had my meter out here checking these, but the very top left-hand side there, all the way to the top, all the way to the left, you have this plug-in where this guy's gonna go, and it's actually as follows, and this is where it's gonna differ from other years. So 99 to 02 is the only years it's gonna look like this. So top right-hand side of that plug is your ground. Right below that is a switch 12 volts. Below that is already a 15 amp circuit that's constant 12 volts. And then to the left of that, in the bottom left corner of that plug, is a 30 amp constant. So a couple different ways to hook this up. You can go direct power to it if you feel comfortable doing that. What I've decided to do is I'm going to put a relay on the heated seats. So separate from the power for I'm going to run two different power wires to the seats. I'm going to run off a relay for the heat, and then for the actual moving of the seats, there's a relay underneath the seat already. So all I'm going to do is put 12 volts to it. But I'm going to put the 12 volts for the move on the 15 amp circuit, and I'm going to put the heat on the 30. So under the hood, I want to show you guys how this is set up. You have, this is where this stuff's fused already. So even though it's not being used, it's already fused. If you look right here, right above my finger, there's a 30 amp. That is for the heated seat that we're going to use, that on that plug. And to the right of that is a 15 amp. That's what we're going to be using for the move. So obviously a lot of wiring and a lot of threading wires under the carpet, but I wanted it to look factory. So everything's going to be hidden up underneath. You're not going to see any wires. It's going to literally operate like factory. The only reason I'm actually going to put a relay on that is because I want this heated seats to work when the key's on only. So let's say because of that type of switch and it's not body control module controlled, you get out of the car, you leave the, let's say you turn the key off and the seats are on a constant 12 volt for the heat, well, your battery's going to be dead. So I want to put that on switched. That's why I pinned that out the way I did, and we'll go through that more in depth as we go. But I want the seats to be able to move if the car's not on. So if you ever get, like, my wife's only 5 foot tall, if she's driving this, which she probably never will, but if I want to move the seat back, I would have to put the key in. Well, that doesn't make sense, and that's not how the factory wires it either. So I want to put it on constant 12 volts. But anyway, I know that's a lot of talking, but there's a lot of explaining to do. I wanted to show you guys all that. And I think what we'll do first is we're going to get these seats out, kind of out of the way. I think I'll probably be able to leave the console because I'm going to kind of bring the wire around that. So anyway, let's get these seats out of the way, and we'll get these other ones kind of mocked up in place because I want my wires, I don't want them extra long. We'll just kind of go back and forth with that, but we'll talk about each step as we go through. So let's get started. So before we actually take the seats out, I am going to unhook the battery, just an 8mm generally, if it's the factory connection. We'll unhook it. I'm going to unhook the positive and the negative. And then we'll go into the truck. Now the truck, on these trucks, it's actually an inverted, like, Torx that hooks these seats up, but you can use a 15 and an 11 generally. So on the passenger side of this truck, we're not gonna have anything to unhook. On the driver's side, you will have your seatbelt wire to unhook. So at this point, you can see I got the seats out. And what we've got here that we had to unplug on the driver's side is just for your seatbelt. And honestly, guys, what's really cool about this is there's only 2 wires for the seatbelt, that black and white, just like I showed you on that other harness, which we'll be putting in that. But you see this ground right here? Awesome spot to ground the new seats, as well as the seat heaters and anything else I need to ground right here. Now, on the other side, I might tie into somewhere else. I really don't think I want to ground that long to over here. I might end up doing that, but I'm going to look for another ground on the other side. Anyway, we've got these out. Let's probably going to pop these panels out just so I can get a little more access under the seat. And then other than that, we're on to pretty much wiring. So I'll probably loosely run wires over the carpet, kind of get it where I want it, and we'll talk about that process. So I know it's kind of loud. I've got my heater going. It is -1 degree for a high today. So anyway, we've got the seats out, and I won't have the heater running the whole time, but the next step is obviously we need to start wiring stuff. Now, originally I said I was going to use a relay, but the seat heater kit actually has a relay in it, so I'm not gonna have to use a relay at all, which is awesome. I can just plug and play off of those 15 and the 30 amp. So the 30 amp I'm gonna run to the heated seats, and the 15 I'm gonna run to the move. And so what I've done here is, you can see the plug for the driver's side. I pulled everything out that we're not going to need. So you can see there's only 4 wires left. You got a ground, you got for the power for the seat heater, you got the power to move, and then you have the seat belt. So for the seat belt, the factory has a seat belt, and so you have 1 ground wire which goes to this ground here, which I'm going to be using for everything. That's going to be my central ground. And what I thought I might do is, instead of cutting this and having to splice it and solder it back together, I think I'm just going to pull this clip out, and hopefully this pin will slide into this piece. I think it's the same size. Oh, it's not. Okay, so never mind on that. We are going to have to cut and splice because it's a different size. Anyway, that was a good thought. But I went ahead and ran out. You can see I've got a negative here. I went ahead and measured out all the pieces that I'm going to need. I've got a couple spools of wire here. You can see the red and the black, and you can see that I've got them hooked on to each corresponding piece that I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and solder those and get those kind of lightly set on the carpet here. And then once we do that, then we can go on to the power. But originally, you know, I said I wasn't going to ground here for the other seat, but I think I'm going to, because this is just such a good ground. It's an awesome area to do it, and so that's what I think I'm going to do. I know it's kind of a long lead, but I just don't want a ton of grounds tied up over there. Now, if we have any issues with that seat on the other side, obviously we'll look for another ground. But at this point, I'm just laying out wire on top of the carpet, and then I'm going to solder it all together, and then we'll try to loosely plug it in and make sure everything works before we obviously tuck it under the carpet and make it look all nice. So at this point, we got all the wires laid out. You can see that I've got it all tied into the factory harness. The only one I have to hook up here is the seat belt one, but I'm going to have to do that once it's under the carpet. So like I said, I'm not using a relay like I originally stated that I was going to. We're just coming straight off the plug. I've got the 30 amp going to the heated seat. I've got the 15 amp going to the power seat, and that should be good enough in order to not have an issue. Now, if I do, obviously we'll report back, but at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and start tucking this wire under the carpet, and then we're gonna get it all into place, everything plugged in, and set the seats in here and make sure that everything works. At this point, we got everything back in place. So I put the panels back in. All we have to do is set the seats in. It's coming out in the factory location, just like it would if this truck were to come with it. Got it plugged up there in the top left side of the dash where I showed you guys earlier, and then on the other side got it snaked in the already cut out portion of the carpet. So you could cut another spot back closer, but to me I didn't want to cut any more than I had to. So let's set these seats in here and see if they work. So let's take a look now. We got the seats in, everything is working as it should. We got forward, back, everything is working, lumbar included. And then because I've got this hooked to retained accessory power, it is coming on right now because I just took the key out. But like your lights, at the 10-minute mark when the lights go dead, so will the seat as far as the heater goes. So everything is working great, and I actually like the look of it, guys. I'll show you that plug up there. I haven't put the panel back on, but up there in the left-hand corner, you can see I went under the carpet. Obviously, just like I showed you before, we went underneath. I went between, just like the factory does, between the padding and the carpet, and everything looks really nice. I'm pretty excited about it. They are definitely more comfortable than the seats I had before. They're really, really soft leather. So yeah, I think, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you like this new setup? I think it's going to be kind of cool. Like I said, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to have power seats in a regular cab truck because you don't really move them that often. But, you know, I don't know. It just, to me, it looks like a loaded up truck. Now we got to move on to the power window swap, which, like I said, guys, that'll be a little bit down the road. But let me know what you guys think of this video. It's starting to get cold. out here. I don't know if you guys can see my breath, but my heater, like I said, is freaking out. But if you guys did like this video, if you enjoyed it, if you like these new seats, go down in the comments and let me know. If you guys are not subscribed, go down there, hit that subscribe button. While you're down there, make sure you ring that bell icon that notifies you every time we drop a new video, and stay tuned to see what we work on next.